Hey everybody, my name is Mark Johnston and I do STEM education. I am super excited for today's video because we are going to go over the VEX Vision Sensor. That's right, the Vision Sensor. I see you. The Vision Sensor can be used in VEX IQ or VEX V5, and the process for using it and setting it up is pretty much the same. So this is a really great skill to learn if you're doing IQ, because chances are you might do V5 eventually, and you're going to be really good at using the Vision Sensor. That said, today I'm going to try and keep it simple. Okay, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Here we are with VEX code open, and you can also see that I have my Armbot over here set up. If you'd like to build the Armbot, you can. You could do this with just about any kind of robot configuration. But if you want to do it with the Armbot, first go to vexrobotics.com, and then under Downloads, select Build Instructions, VEX IQ. Scroll down a little bit, and you'll see our buddy the Armbot IQ right here. And you can click on that, download the build instructions, everything you need to build this Armbot. You can see over there, I have on my desk, okay? But you can see that in this Armbot IQ, they have there's a sensor, color sensor. Mine is using a vision sensor right there. Okay, now that vision sensor is actually able to be used in IQ, and it is competition legal, and it can be used in VRC, VEX Robotics Competition, in V5, and it's also legal for that system as well. So this is a really interesting, unique sensor that it can be used for both of those systems. The configuration and the programming is actually very much the same. I haven't found any real differences yet, but I haven't done a lot with it. But let me show you something cool that you can do with this Armbot and with this this sensor. So I'm going to go back to VEX code, and I already have set up my base motor, the shoulder, the elbow, the claw. I already set up a controller, and I set up what all the buttons do. Then I also set up a couple of touch LEDs so I can have some lights on it if I want, for fun. The one thing I don't have set up right now is the camera. So I'll go ahead and click on Add Device. That's right there. Add Device. And then Vision. Everything's in behind my head today. There you go, Vision. I plugged mine into port 7. You can plug it into any port, any open port. Okay, so you're going to click Configure, and it's going to open another window. Now it's going to say disconnected until you plug that camera directly into your computer. So unplug your cable from your brain and plug it into the back of the camera, and then what your camera sees will pop up here on your screen. So you can see over here, my webcam sees that yellow stick, and also the vision sensor seeing the yellow stick. Notice they're very different shades, right? So the first thing that I want to do when I'm doing a configuration is I want to adjust the brightness. Now I have this set up in very controlled circumstances. The lights aren't going to change. The background is not going to change. It's a white tabletop where the brain is looking down, or the vision sensor is looking down, and it won't ever see anything other than that white desk and the blue cube. I could set up other cubes, but I'm just going to use blue for now. So the first thing I will do is I'll bump the brightness up. So you see right here, there's this little side-to-side arrow guy. There it is. You click on that, and it brings up this little slider. All right, I'm going to brighten it up like that. Yep. and then click freeze. Now that's going to freeze the image. So now you won't see my, little yellow wand moving around there, but it'll let you now select. And you can do this when it's unfrozen, but it's easier to do when it's frozen. You can select by clicking and dragging the object that you want. Now select set for one of the signatures. So sig 1. Okay. I have to select again. There we go. And click set. All right. And I'm going to call it. Now you can't name it a reserved word, like blue is already a reserved word. So I'm going to do BLU for blue. Okay. And then you also have this little slider right here. Right now it's like 2.5. This is the sensitivity. Okay. If I were to put another object, and I have another object here I'm going to put over there, I'm going to unfreeze. Now all of a sudden you can see, because there's blue in that pen, that it's going to think that that pen is the object as well. But if I slide that slider back, notice now there's no box. I mean, there's a couple little dots appearing every now and then, but this will make sure that I can set. See, now it would see it as an object, right? Because now I have multiple boxes being drawn. So you're going to have to figure out what are the other objects that are going to be nearby, but you want this slider to be as far to the right as you can without it giving you a bunch of false positives. If you go too far to the left, you're not going to ever see, it's not going to ever see anything. And if you do so little, then if the light changes, it won't see an object at all. Okay. So I would say it started me at around 2.5 and it was pretty good. I'm going to bump it just a little bit and I'm going to call that good. That's it. That's all there is to configuring your camera. Now, if I, move that pen out of the way, if I move the object around, notice it's changing on the screen, but also notice those numbers. And it's kind of hard because they're white letters on a white background here. But if you can kind of see there, yeah, you can see it better like that. It says like CX and it's like 228, 229 right now. And then I'll push it over here. CX, that's the center of the X coordinate, of the X value, the center of where it appears on the X coordinate. It's 60-ish right there. And I'll go all the way over here and see if I can read it. Maybe if I, so now it's seeing it as multiple objects. So I might need to boost. See, this is really where you got to do some testing, right? So I probably should boost this guy a little bit. Yeah. All right, let's see. Maybe if I put, no. I can't see it. CX 307. Okay, good. So CX is like the center of the X value is like 300 over there, and it's like 50 right there. Okay, so it's really what it is from here. It's 315, and all the way to the other side, that's 315 to there is 0. All right, and that'll be important here in just a minute. Okay, at this point, I can close that little window. That stuff is saved. I'll click done right here. Okay, notice my brain isn't connected because my camera is. And so I'll go ahead and plug in my brain again. Okay, so now my brain is plugged in. I unplugged the camera and plugged in on the brain. And I want to just test it, make sure that it's first of all showing up in my code here. So I'll go under sensing. Okay, so that we can see under vision sensing, we have take vision 7 snapshot of selected signature, and we only have one because we only set up one. And then we have set vision 7 object to index to 1. We're not going to be dealing with multiple objects, so this won't apply for what we're doing. I do think maybe I should do a part 2 of this video. And so if you're done with this and you've mastered the stuff in this video, leave a comment. Let me know if you want more. Okay. The vision object count, that'll tell us how many objects, again, we are seeing of that particular signature. We're going to not use that one either. If the object exists or not, and then also we can see the object's width, height, center X, center Y, and angle. We're just going to look at the center X and also if the object exists, okay? Now, in order to do that, you'll need to take a snapshot. And so rather than telling it, hey, always whenever you're looking through this camera, do you see this thing? What you have to tell the program is you have to say when you want it to look. And that's going to take a snapshot at that time. It's going to basically freeze it like we did when we were configuring it, when we clicked freeze, and then we could see what was there. And then at that moment in time, the information about the object is then, available to us. So let's just set up a real simple program where if the object is there, our lights turn green, and if the object is not, they turn red. So that's a very simple else if or if else. So I'm going to grab a forever because I want this to continually check these values. And I'm going to put an if else in here. I'll go to sensing and say if I see my object, but if my object exists, well, what object are we talking about? We have to first say, okay, first take a picture of, take a snapshot, and we're looking for the object, a signature blue or BLU. Then we're going to say, okay, if the object exists in that snapshot, then I want to, let's say, change the touch LED. And I have LEDs on both sides, so I'm going to do 2. I'm going to turn touch LED 5 and 10 to green. Else, I'm going to make them red. So let's do red and red. There we go. So now I'll download it and run it. And I expect, because my object's right there, and we just configured this camera, I expect those LEDs to turn green. Okay, my brain is saying to connect to the controller because I have a controller. So I'll turn the controller on. Hey, there we go. There you go. Let's see it again. Red. Green. Cool. So now let's use some more of that information to actually get our robot to do something. So how about we make it so that if it sees the object, they're green, right? And if it's somewhere, if it's like right in the center, let's make them turn blue. And if it is outside of that, we'll keep it red the way that it is now. So in order to do that, we already have the if it sees an object. So we need to say inside of here, we need some more conditions. So if it sees an object, so I need another, say like if else in here. Let's do an if else in here. So if it sees an object, it's going to turn them green. If the width, let's use the width. Now notice that if I go to sensing and under vision, where we have width, not width, I'm sorry, center X. We'll use center X. Notice it's a rounded edge, right? That's because it's returning a value. And now let's take a look at this little help feature, okay? If I click the little question mark up here, and then I click on my vision object, okay? Notice that it's telling us, for instance, the width, center X, reports the X coordinate of the center of the detected object, returns a value from 0 to 315 px, so pixels. So 0 to 315, which correlates to what we were finding. It was finding that center at around 50 pixels when it was there, all the way to the other side at around 300 or so. So that makes sense. So I don't need this little help thing anymore. I know that this is going to give me a value from 0 to 315. So if I said 0 to 315, Well, half of that is 157.5 or something. So let's say that I want it to be as it comes into the frame, as it shows up into the frame, right here, it's 0. I want it to be greater than that. I want it to be greater. I want it to be greater than 150. Let's say. So I'm going to say greater than 150. But that's not the only thing. I also don't want it to be, I don't want it to be less. No, I want it to be greater than 150, but I also want it to be less than, say, like 165. So it's over here at 170. It's not 180, 190, 200. I don't want it over there. So I'm going to need one of these less thans as well. So less than. All right. So I think we're getting there. I think 170 is probably good. No, I'm going to change it to 165. Okay. And so I want both of these. If both of these are true, then I want it to set it to blue. So actually, I do need to take these guys out. Ugh. I need more real estate here. My screen's not big enough. Okay. All right. So this is where I need to use an and. So I'll go down here to green and grab this and, put it in here. So I'm going to say that one in there. And then, can I get this one still? Okay. There we go. So let's get rid of this so we can get ourselves a little bit of room to look and read what it says. See what's going on here. Okay. So it's saying, hey, take a picture of what you see right now. Okay. Does object exist? If not, change them to red. So it jumps all the way down here and says change them to red. If it does, now it's saying if it is greater than 150 and less than 165, I want to change it to blue. Right? But if it sees the object and it's not those values, then I want it to be green because it's still seeing an object. It's just not seeing it like it's not in its perfect spot. All right, so let's think about this again. If I break it down like this, I can see that I'm going to take a picture. If it exists, then it's going to do whatever I put in here. Or else, if it doesn't exist, then it's just going to turn to red. If it does exist, it's going to do this stuff right here. And if it does exist, and also this stuff right here, if the object, the center of the object is greater than 150, and also it must be less than 165, it'll turn the lights to blue. If it's not meeting those parameters, but it still exists, it's going to turn them to green. All right, let's download that. And let's run it and see what happens. All right. It's a live recording, folks. Okay. Oh, it's green already. Woo. All right. Now it's red. Let me turn the exposure down on this camera. Here we go. Okay. So we got a lot of like flashing and stuff. So it's green. All right. And then I'm hoping it'll turn blue. Oh, there we go. It's perfect in the sweet spot. Oh, now it's green. Oh, it was only blue for a second. Oh, right there. It's the sweet spot. It says, yep, that's good. And if I go there and if I go all the way off, it turns red. Perfect. Okay. So now I think we're ready to actually make it do some movement. Woohoo. All right. Here's the deal. If it sees it, right, and it's in that sweet spot, then I want it to stop there, right? So I'm kind of thinking backwards, right? I'm thinking like, if I'm already there, then I want it to stop moving. But if it's not seeing the object, then I want it to be turning to try and find it. But let's say right there at the sweet spot, when it's blue, when those lights are blue, I want it to stop spinning. So I'm going to go to motion and say stop base. And I'm going to put stop base right there. So I know that I'm there. I want to stop. Okay, now here's the issue. This is where it can get a little tricky. So it's what I want to do down here under the else. I want to do another if else. Like that. So I'm going to say if the, it's going to be up here. This guy right here. So I still want to turn those green, right? But then also if it's seeing the object and the object is less than 165, I want it to turn counterclockwise. Yeah. So I will go to motion and say spin base like this. So if it is less than 165, I want it to turn counterclockwise to, okay? And then if it is not less than 165, so say it's greater than 165, let's say it's 180 or something, then it's going to turn clockwise because I need it to come back the other direction. All right, so before we test it, let's break this down and look at this code that we have, okay? We're going to take a picture. We're looking at the picture. Does the object exist? If no, just turn those LEDs red and won't do anything else. Okay, if the object does exist, so if yes, the object does exist, then it's going to say, is it the center X value greater than 150 and also less than 165? If it is, it's great. It's going to turn them blue. That's it. If it's not both of those are true, then it will go down here to the else. It'll turn those LEDs green. And then it will say, is the object center less than 165? If so, turn counterclockwise. If it is 165 or greater, then it's going to turn clockwise. Now, the great thing about this is it's all in a big forever loop. So immediately, as soon as it starts turning, it's going to jump right back to this top of this loop, take a screenshot or take a snapshot and ask all those questions again, over and over and over and over again. It's going to continually evaluate, is this true? Is it not true? Okay, then do this. Okay, then do that. And it's going to continue. So let's download. And based on what I see right now, I think we're just outside of that sweet spot. So I'm gonna hope that my robot's about to turn clockwise. Yeah, there we go. All right. So if I move it a little bit that way, it goes that way. I go that way, it goes that way. Now, I think if I took it away, it'll just keep on turning. All right, folks, so that's one really simple way to use a vision sensor. It's not an easy topic, but I really hope that it helps you out. And if it did help you out, please leave a comment down below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, like all my content if you like it. I really do appreciate it when you guys do that. You can always send me an email, mark@mjstem.com. And I love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much. And I really hope you enjoyed this one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.